Have you ever wondered why some individuals seem to rise above every setback, radiating confidence and calm, even in the face of adversity? The answer lies in the remarkable power of mental reframe, a tool that can transform ordinary challenges into extraordinary opportunities for growth. Imagine if you could harness this hidden strength within your own mind and fuel your journey to success each and every day. This book unravels the secrets of self-reflection and mental reframe, guiding you through practical steps to ignite positivity and thrive in every aspect of your life. Positivity Power, Fueling Success with Mental Reframe, written and published by Awaken Vision. Chapter 1. Have you ever woken up feeling like the spark that once inspired you has grown dim? Many people move through life on autopilot, weighed down by endless responsibilities or the disappointment of unmet expectations. This sense of dullness can become so familiar that it almost feels like a part of who you are. Yet beneath the surface, there is a part of you that longs for something more, renewed energy, purpose, and optimism. The real challenge lies in how easily our inner flame can be smothered by negative thoughts, setbacks, and the stresses of everyday life. Without realizing it, moments of hope can get buried under the routines and worries that quietly build up, making it harder to remember our original aspirations. If you look around, it's not difficult to find others silently struggling with the same fatigue. Maybe you have a colleague who started every project with enthusiasm, but now just goes through the motions. Or perhaps you remember a friend whose laughter used to fill the room, only to watch their light fade over time in the face of work, family obligations, or personal setbacks. These scenarios aren't unique. They reflect a common battle so many people fight, trying not to lose themselves while dealing with all the demands of life. Recognizing the dulling of your spirit is deeply personal, but it's also a universal experience. At some point, everyone confronts moments where they feel disconnected from their sense of possibility. These moments matter because the absence of motivation, inner warmth, and hope can lead to a cycle where disappointment breeds negativity, which in turn drains energy even further. Left unchecked, this cycle can affect not only how you see yourself, but also your relationships and your ability to reach your goals. It's not about lacking ambition or drive. The issue is usually more subtle, a slow erosion of enthusiasm as you adapt to life's challenges and try to manage its unpredictability. This struggle often remains hidden, but it can have profound effects on your happiness and self-esteem. The truth is, reigniting that lost flame is possible for anyone willing to take honest steps forward. No matter your past, your daily routine, or the mistakes you might regret, there is always an opportunity to rediscover that inner spark. Imagine the difference in facing each day with a mind that is alert, hopeful, and eager to embrace new possibilities. What would your days look like if discouragement no longer held you back? When you begin to believe that change is possible, even the smallest shift in your perspective can start moving you in the right direction. Challenges no longer have the power to dim your flame because you know what it means to create light from within, regardless of life's uncertainties. The journey toward igniting the flame within starts with a single choice: to recognize your strength, to reflect, and to seek the positivity you want to reignite. This is not about forgetting hardship or pretending that things are always easy. Instead, it's about learning how to keep hope burning brightly and turning that warmth into real action, step by step. Across these next pages, you'll discover how to fan that inner spark until it glows fiercely again, lighting your path toward fulfillment, resilience, and lasting success. The real key to reigniting the flame within is the simple yet powerful process of self-reflection. Self-reflection allows you to pause and look honestly at your life, your thoughts, and your reactions without judgment. This practice invites curiosity about what brings you joy, what drains your energy, and what truly matters to you. By spending just a few minutes each day reflecting, you create space to reconnect with the parts of yourself you might have overlooked. When you ask questions like, "What inspires me?" or "When do I feel most alive?" you prompt your mind to uncover forgotten desires and lost motivations. This gentle inquiry interrupts the cycle of routine and worry and plants the first seeds for positive change. Research in psychology shows that consistent self-reflection can foster a greater sense of purpose and trigger positive emotions. It helps you see patterns in your thinking and behaviors, so you can make conscious adjustments. For example, someone who always worries about the future might realize that their constant anxiety comes from a lack of recognition for the small wins they achieve every day. With this new awareness, they can choose to start celebrating those little successes, which can slowly rebuild a foundation of confidence. This process works because attention forms the bridge between your present and your possibilities. When you give yourself the gift of focused, intentional attention, your brain becomes trained to notice more of the good. Participants in studies who practiced gratitude and reflection experienced lasting boosts in well-being compared to those who simply pushed through life's demands without pausing. These findings support what many wise teachers have said for centuries: renewing your spirit begins from within. Another reason this approach is so effective is that it's accessible to everyone, regardless of background or resources. You don't need special training or expensive tools, just a willingness to notice, to be honest with yourself, and to ask yourself better questions. By weaving a small practice of self-reflection into your daily routine, you equip yourself to handle challenges with more grace and to recover more quickly when setbacks happen. This conscious awareness gives you an advantage over negative habits because it lifts your focus away from what depletes you and reminds you of the values and goals that motivate you. Embracing the process of self-reflection leads to new perspectives that help transform negative or demotivating situations into opportunities for action and growth. With time, you become adept at seeing setbacks not as reasons to give up, but as signals prompting you to adjust your approach or attitude. It is an empowering feeling to know you possess the ability to shift your mindset and reignite motivation, no matter where you find yourself. Self-reflection is like a steady pilot light that, once ignited, keeps burning through every high and low, ensuring you have the energy and clarity needed to move forward. By anchoring yourself to an active awareness of what's happening inside you, moments of positivity begin to add up. The solution is beneficial because it puts the control for change directly into your hands. Instead of waiting for outside circumstances to improve, you become the source of renewed inspiration. This is how you ignite the flame within, not through dramatic upheaval, but through daily moments of honesty, patience, and care for your own growth. The positive shifts that begin with self-reflection will soon start to appear in every area of your life. As you make it part of your routine, you can expect to notice increased energy and a greater sense of enthusiasm for your daily activities. Instead of drifting through days on autopilot, you start to live with intention. Relationships feel more authentic because you are more in touch with your own needs and able to communicate more honestly with others. In your studies or workplace, creativity and resilience grow because you now recognize old, unhelpful habits and are willing to replace them with healthier responses. The way you handle challenges becomes less about getting overwhelmed and more about seeing each hurdle as a useful signal that something inside you is ready for a new direction. Gradually, joy comes not from outer accomplishments alone, but from a growing connection to your own evolving sense of purpose. To put this into action, begin by setting aside a few minutes each day for quiet reflection. It can be done in a morning moment before the world wakes up, or at night when things are silent and still. Use a notebook or simply your thoughts to ask yourself honest questions about what made you feel alive or drained that day. Over time, you will start to notice patterns. A certain kind of work or conversation leaves you energized, while another leaves you tense or uninspired. Next, choose one small area you want to improve. Maybe it is your approach to a difficult coworker, your reaction to stress during studies, or even your communication with someone close to you. Write down a positive question such as, "How could I show more patience in this situation?" Or, "What was one moment today that brought me joy?" By focusing on these questions, you direct your attention to learning rather than judging, which opens the door to growth instead of frustration. Let's look at some real-life scenarios. Imagine facing a challenging group project at work. with tensions running high and creativity running low. Instead of feeling defeated, practice asking what you could do differently to energize the team spirit. By reflecting on what typically discourages you, you might uncover the need for better communication or a more supportive attitude, both of which can be put into immediate practice. In relationships, try reflecting before reacting when disagreements arise. Rather than letting old patterns take over, take a breath and ask what underlying emotion is really coming up. Often you'll find pathways to deeper understanding and a calmer, more heartfelt response. Even in study or personal growth, brief reflection can help you identify not just weaknesses, but hidden strengths, times when you surprised yourself with perseverance, curiosity, or creativity you didn't realize you possessed. As you recognize and build on these moments, your self-worth and resilience blossom. Embrace the understanding that even the most modest effort counts. Transformation seldom happens overnight, but each act of intentional reflection moves you forward, one step at a time. Celebrate small victories, whether it's feeling just a little more hopeful or responding with compassion instead of frustration. Growth may sometimes feel slow or difficult, but with consistency and kindness toward yourself, you will start to see profound change. Keep in mind that every challenge on this journey presents a unique chance to develop strengths and discover new potential in yourself. In the next chapter, we will dive deeper into how you can harness the power of your own thoughts by learning to rewire them for lasting positivity. Get ready to explore practical tools that will help you turn setbacks into stepping stones and doubts into confidence. If you are enjoying this journey and want more support, remember to subscribe to the Awaken Vision channel and share your thoughts or questions in the comments so we can continue to grow and inspire each other along the way. Chapter 2. How often do you catch yourself mentally preparing for the worst, replaying past failures, or second-guessing every step you take? This kind of thinking is much more common than most people realize. Negativity seems to slip so easily into our minds, subtly shaping the way we see ourselves and the world. In fact, research has shown that the human brain naturally pays more attention to negative experiences than to positive ones, a survival habit rooted in our distant past. But while this tendency might have once kept us alert to danger, it now often blocks us from living with optimism and hope. The problem with consistently negative thought patterns is that they can become invisible fences, trapping us in self-doubt and fear, and making everyday challenges appear much bigger than they really are. Understanding this challenge is crucial, because your thoughts genuinely shape your reality. If you believe that setbacks will always follow you, that you're just unlucky or not good enough, then you are likely to experience the world as a place full of obstacles instead of opportunities. This cycle is especially tricky because it feels so personal and permanent, even when it's not. Picture a hardworking student who receives a single low grade. Suddenly, thoughts spiral into fear and self-criticism. Maybe I'm not smart enough for this. Or imagine a young professional who is overlooked for a promotion. Instead of seeing it as a minor setback, her mind replays every perceived failure until she stops volunteering for new opportunities. These thought patterns aren't a reflection of truth, but of habit, and habits can be changed. More importantly, so many of us aren't even aware of when negativity sneaks in. We might laugh off our worries or brush aside moments of self-doubt, all the while allowing those tiny, persistent inner voices to chip away at our confidence. The world around us often reinforces these patterns too, from harsh news stories to critical family members or unsupportive work environments. Slowly, we begin to see not just our own lives, but the entire future through a lens of skepticism and caution. Yet, even in the middle of this, there is hope, a way to draw a bright line between old, limiting beliefs and the power of positive thought. Recognizing the impact of your inner talk is the first step to reclaiming your story. Just as daily habits shape our bodies and moods, the stories we repeat silently determine whether we feel energized or exhausted, hopeful or hesitant. By acknowledging your own thought habits, you place yourself on the path to transformation. It is easy to believe you are at the mercy of your mind, yet science and personal stories prove it isn't true. People around the world have learned to reframe how they think, turning setbacks into valuable lessons and uncertainty into new beginnings. Their experiences show us that rewiring thoughts isn't a fantasy. It's the foundation of more joy, courage, and possibility in life. And this journey begins when you decide to shine a light on negativity and learn how to consciously direct your thinking toward positivity and growth. This chapter will show you exactly how to do that. The key to transforming negative thinking is a technique called reframing. Reframing means intentionally shifting your mental focus away from what is wrong or threatening and looking for what is possible or empowering, even within difficult situations. Rather than ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist, reframing challenges you to search for another angle, question old beliefs, and ask, how else can I view this? This approach works on a deep level because the way you interpret events shapes your actual experience, not just your mood. Thoughts and beliefs are like filters on a camera. Change the filter, and the whole picture changes. Psychological research, including studies on cognitive behavioral therapy, consistently supports the power of reframing as a way to break negative thought loops and replace them with more productive mental habits. When individuals practice challenging automatic negative thoughts and deliberately look for potential positives or solutions, they report increased optimism and reduced stress. Over time, the brain itself becomes more flexible and responsive, building new pathways that make optimistic thinking easier and more natural. One famous study showed that people who practiced daily positive thinking exercises experienced heightened well-being and resilience, even when facing adversity. This is because reframing gently disrupts stale habits and gives you a real sense of choice. Reframing works by first inviting awareness. Before any change happens, you have to notice you are falling into a familiar mental trap, such as assuming the worst or magnifying a minor mistake. The next step is to pause and consciously ask, is there a kinder or more helpful way I could choose to see this? For example, instead of fixating on a personal setback as a loss, you might look for what you have learned or gained in experience. Instead of feeling like an outsider in a group, note the courage it took to show up at all. Science explains this change by looking at neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections in response to new routines. Every positive reframe, even a small one, strengthens the brain's ability to adopt more encouraging patterns. This solution is so powerful because it returns agency to you. When you practice reframing, you are no longer a passive receiver of thoughts, buffeted by negativity, but an active shaper of your internal story. A reframed outlook encourages hope, fuels creative problem solving, and enables you to move forward with confidence, even if events around you don't immediately improve. It's not about sugarcoating reality, but about empowering yourself to respond in ways that lift you up rather than hold you down. The benefits of this technique reach into relationships, careers, and personal growth, helping you recover faster from setbacks and notice opportunities that others might miss. People who make reframing a habit often report a deeper sense of satisfaction and the courage to act on their goals. Giving yourself permission to adopt a more compassionate, possibility-oriented perspective unlocks your energy and motivation. With practice, this becomes a new default, propelling you toward optimism and growth by choice, not chance. When you decide to rewire your thoughts, you lay the foundation for lasting positive transformation, one empowering reflection at a time. When you make reframing a regular habit, you'll begin to notice distinct, positive changes rippling through every aspect of your life. You'll find that moments which once would have left you feeling defeated or anxious are now open doors to self-discovery and growth. Triggers that used to upset your mood become less powerful because your mind naturally starts looking for lessons, opportunities, and reasons to feel hopeful. Your relationships grow stronger as you learn to interpret misunderstandings or disagreements with greater understanding and compassion. At work or school, where pressure and setbacks are often part of the experience, you'll start to recover faster and look beyond mistakes to find valuable insights. Your sense of confidence is not tied to a perfect streak of victories, but instead to your deepening ability to respond to setbacks with resilience. With each step, you'll feel more in control, more positive, and far more optimistic about the future. Begin by developing simple awareness of your thoughts throughout the day. Pause for a moment whenever you catch yourself thinking, "This always happens to me," or "I can never get this right." Take a breath and gently ask, "Is there another way to see this?" Or "What can I learn from this experience?" Writing down your thoughts at the end of the day in a journal can make this process clearer. When something bothers you, jot it down and challenge yourself to find at least one constructive lesson or silver lining. Over time, this exercise trains your brain to seek out possibilities and solutions rather than focusing on negativity. Whenever a challenge arises, try stepping into the role of your own best friend, offering encouragement and practical advice instead of criticism. You might tell yourself, "This mistake doesn't mean I'm not capable. It's a chance to get better and try again." Imagine this in real life. You receive unexpected criticism at work. Instead of letting your mind loop through self-judgment, pause to reframe. Consider what the feedback teaches you and how it could lead to growth or improvement. In personal relationships, maybe a friend cancels plans at the last moment. While it's natural to feel disappointment, also ask, "Does this give me a chance to practice understanding or maybe recharge on my own?" When faced with fear before a presentation or exam, review past times you succeeded despite nerves, helping to replace anxiety with assurance. By making reframing second nature, even small setbacks become insights. Each time you do this, your confidence and emotional resilience are strengthened. Small steps truly count. Each positive mental pivot adds up to powerful, lasting change. If you stumble and revert to old habits, simply notice and begin again. Transformation happens through repetition and self-kindness, not through perfection. Over weeks and months, you'll reflect back and realize your thinking has become kinder, more hopeful, and more proactive than before. Use quiet moments to celebrate your growth and recognize the courage it takes to challenge old patterns and look for the good. As you move forward, remember that setbacks are not the end of your path, but invitations to deepen your practice and discover your own strength. The more you practice reframing, the more natural and automatic it becomes, empowering you to shape your story no matter what life brings. In the next chapter, you'll have the opportunity to explore how resilience and gratitude work hand in hand, helping you sustain this positive outlook through life's toughest tests. If you find these ideas helpful and want more ongoing guidance, don't forget to subscribe to the Awaken Vision channel. Leave a like and share your thoughts or suggestions in the comments. Your journey and your insights inspire us all to grow together. Chapter 3. There are days when life feels like a constant barrage of challenges. Perhaps you've known the moment when everything seemed to unravel at once. A missed deadline at work, an argument at home, a setback with your health. Stress and disappointment can crowd your thoughts, making it easy to forget any recent win or reason to be hopeful. On those rough days, you may wonder how some people maintain calm and even optimism despite difficulties. The answer lies in their resilience, their ability to bounce back after hardship, and their skill in finding gratitude even when it's hard to see past their struggles. However, the real challenge for most of us is that resilience and gratitude do not always come naturally. It's tempting to focus only on what isn't working. Our minds can get stuck on the negatives, replaying each setback and overlooking the simple, positive things that still exist in our lives. Understanding this problem is crucial because life is filled with inevitable stressors and disappointments for everyone. We might believe that happiness or peace can only be found once we are free from problems. In reality, it's not the absence of difficulty that brings genuine happiness, but our method of responding to it. Without resilience, every bump in the road can feel overwhelming, draining your energy and leaving you with little motivation to continue striving. Without gratitude, life can start to feel empty or meaningless, even when good things are present. Both qualities, when missing, leave you more vulnerable to hopelessness, anxiety, and burnout. But resilience and gratitude are not traits reserved for a lucky few. They are skills, and they grow stronger with conscious practice. Consider the example of a friend who, after losing a job, chooses to treat the loss as an invitation to learn new skills and reconsider their path, rather than as a statement about their worth. This decision is not easy or immediate, but it is possible by slowly building resilience. On the other hand, imagine a parent experiencing a sleepless, stressful night with a sick child. Afterward, they pause in the quiet to notice the gentle way their child holds their hand, feeling a surge of gratitude even in exhaustion. These real moments reflect the heart of this challenge. Life is rarely perfect, but even during hardship, something valuable can be recognized and protected. It takes intentional effort to resist the pull of negativity and train your mind to focus on what helps you heal or grow. The problem is that in our fast-paced and often competitive world, the pressure to keep moving forward can discourage any pause for self-reflection or gratitude. Sometimes, we're surrounded by voices telling us to toughen up and ignore our feelings, instead of discovering our real ability to adapt and appreciate. It's easy to grow tired or doubt yourself under these pressures. Yet, each experience of hardship carries within it lessons about strength, patience, and the small joys that can sustain us. By becoming mindful of how you face challenges and where you place your attention, you set the stage for true resilience and gratitude to emerge, transforming ordinary days into opportunities for deeper meaning and long-term happiness. Resilience and gratitude are like twin supports that help you not only deal with difficulty, but also thrive even when times are tough. The effective solution for building both starts with the practice of intentional awareness, recognizing your own emotions and thoughts as they arise, without immediately judging or trying to push them away. When you face a challenging situation, acknowledge it fully instead of denying the discomfort or pretending to be fine. This first step may sound simple, but it creates a foundation of honesty that allows real strength to grow. By not fighting your emotions or setbacks, you remove the added stress that resistance so often brings. Research in positive psychology shows that resilient individuals aren't those with the easiest lives, but those who develop adaptive thinking and practical self-compassion. They treat themselves with understanding when they encounter adversity, and in doing so, tap into inner reserves of patience and hope. The next step is actively looking for meaning or personal growth in hardships, rather than viewing these periods as evidence of failure. This does not mean that you must be grateful for pain itself. Instead, you are training your mind to pay equal attention to progress, lessons learned, or unexpected support, however small. This balanced attention interrupts the natural tendency to focus only on what's wrong. For example, researchers have tracked people who keep daily gratitude journals. Those who record small, specific moments of gratitude, such as a beautiful sunset, a kind message, or a personal accomplishment, show higher levels of resilience, better emotional health, and a greater sense of satisfaction with life. Gratitude invites your brain to notice positive details, balancing out negativity and giving perspective on what remains possible. Taking this practice deeper, you can combine resilient strategies with daily habits that reinforce your ability to handle adversity. Instead of seeing setbacks as dead ends, resilient thinking encourages you to ask, "What can I do next?" Or "How did I survive or grow the last time something hard happened?" Pausing to recall past successes or sources of support reminds you that you carry strengths you may have forgotten during a crisis. Evidence shows that people who take time to reflect on their own past coping skills, even for a few minutes each day, gradually build up confidence and a sense of capability. Looking for gratitude along the journey, even when things feel uncertain, adds a layer of emotional safety. A reminder that the world is not only challenging, but also filled with small gifts. This dual approach works because it aligns both your emotions and your thinking toward growth instead of defeat. By seeing your troubles as moments to practice both resilience and gratitude, you shift the focus away from what you lack and toward what remains possible. The process does not erase sadness or frustration, but it helps keep hope alive. Resilience gives you the power to rise after a fall. Gratitude enables you to see the beauty and kindness that exist, even in dark times. Building these qualities with intention makes setbacks feel less devastating and allows you to recover more quickly, feeling even stronger than before. By practicing resilience and gratitude side by side, you create a mindset that is both tough and open-hearted. You become adaptable, able to see alternatives where others see only obstacles. This combination gives depth and lightness to your life, making it easier to persist, to heal, and to pursue new goals. It's a solution that anyone can embrace, a reliable foundation built through repeated, mindful action and moments of honest reflection. When you intentionally weave resilience and gratitude into your life, the benefits begin to show in your sense of well-being, emotional balance, and your ability to meet adversity with a calm mind. You'll notice that everyday setbacks lose their power to overwhelm you, replaced by a new belief that you can adapt no matter what comes. Your sense of hope becomes less fragile, carrying you farther during tough times, while your moments of happiness become brighter and more enduring. Even ordinary days begin to seem rich with small blessings. A kind word, a solved problem, a moment of rest, and your relationships deepen because you're able to both offer and receive appreciation with a fuller heart. In your work or studies, you find you can handle pressure with greater patience and face disappointments with the resolve to start again. The true reward is feeling lighter, more open, and curious about what positive changes lie ahead. Bringing these habits into daily life starts with small, consistent actions. Set aside a quiet moment at the end of each day to write down one challenge you faced and one thing you are grateful for. If writing isn't your style, share these reflections with a trusted friend or say them aloud during a walk. When you catch yourself feeling discouraged, pause and remember a previous obstacle you overcame. Remind yourself that resilience is built moment by moment, not in grand leaps. Another simple practice is to look for gratitude in interactions with others. The next time you thank someone, pause to reflect on how their gesture touched your life. At work, if an assignment feels overwhelming, break it into manageable parts and acknowledge your progress after each step. In relationships, when you argue or experience tension, look for the moments of reconciliation, growth in understanding, or simply the fact that you both cared enough to engage honestly. Personal growth becomes more intentional when you view each new test as training for a stronger mind and a more compassionate outlook. Approaching life this way doesn't mean welcoming hardship, but it does mean valuing what challenges reveal about your inner strength and capacity for gratitude. For students, keeping a journal can highlight how gratitude transforms the pressure of exams or projects into tools for self-discovery and self-trust. For someone navigating change in their career, resilience offers the clarity to accept setbacks without self-blame, while gratitude keeps your focus on supportive colleagues and the lessons that prepare you for future success. Every day becomes an opportunity to build on yesterday's growth. Let this journey motivate you to give yourself credit for even the smallest advances. If a day is particularly tough, celebrate the decision to pause and breathe, or to name something, anything that brought a moment of comfort. Every act of kindness toward yourself lays another brick in the foundation that will support you during future storms. If you find yourself forgetting now and then, that's perfectly normal. Progress is made in hundreds of small steps, not timid leaps. Reflect regularly on how these habits lighten your outlook and build lasting courage and optimism. As you prepare to move forward, get ready to take this foundation even further. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to harness the power of perspective, learning how a simple shift in your viewpoint can transform moments that once felt draining into sources of energy and inspiration. If this message is resonating with you and you'd like ongoing encouragement, don't forget to subscribe to the Awaken Vision channel, give a like, and share your insights or suggestions in the comments. Your stories and commitment bring inspiration to everyone on this journey of growth. Chapter 4. It's amazing how a single moment can look completely different depending on where you're standing. You may have found yourself in a situation where everything seemed to go wrong. Plans fell apart, frustration built up, and nothing looked redeemable. Yet, someone else experiencing the very same day might notice something good, see a new opportunity arise from the mess, or even treat the hiccups as a lesson. This is the mysterious influence of perspective. an influence so powerful that it can make the difference between feeling overwhelmed and feeling hopeful. The challenge is that most of us get stuck seeing life from only a single angle, believing what we see is the only truth. This habit can trap us in cycles of stress, disappointment, or narrow thinking. Without the ability to broaden our perspective, a small setback can overshadow a week of steady effort, or a brief misunderstanding can cloud an important relationship. Understanding just how much perspective shapes our emotional experience is the key to regaining balance, especially during difficult times. Have you noticed how quickly tension grows when you focus only on what's lacking, what's unfair, or what others seem to have compared to you? It's easy to compare ourselves to someone else's highlight reel and lose sight of our own progress or blessings. A student might fixate on a single low grade and forget all the learning along the way, while a parent, buried in laundry and deadlines, may not notice the silent expressions of love and appreciation present in the daily routine. Even within groups or teams, clinging stubbornly to a single viewpoint can freeze collaboration and stifle creativity, which breeds resentment or conflict and kills morale. The result is an emotional tunnel vision, where disappointment or frustration blocks out light from other parts of life. Everyone falls into this trap at one point or another, especially when tired, stressed, or wounded by disappointment. The habit of looking at problems from only one perspective often feels automatic. It's our mind's attempt to quickly make sense of things and keep us safe by identifying what feels wrong or threatening, but this habit can backfire. We stop seeing the good that still exists in challenging moments, and we forget that there are always other ways to look at the story. This narrowness is what keeps pain persistent and progress stunted. When you only ever see through a single lens, you reduce every rich, complex experience into something flat and limiting. Yet, noticing the power and limitation of your own perspective is actually a hidden opportunity. It is the first step out of confusion and into possibility. When you learn to pause, push back on your automatic interpretations, and intentionally seek other angles, you gain the freedom to rewrite the story of each moment. You can transform criticism into guidance, failure into feedback, stress into motivation, and isolation into new beginnings. Perspective is not about denying problems. It's about granting yourself the wisdom to see each challenge as multidimensional and full of potential for growth, insight, and sometimes even unexpected joy. Recognizing this is the beginning of every meaningful shift and the spark that can reignite possibility in places where you thought only frustration remained. The path to transforming your experience begins with a conscious shift in perspective, a decision to pause and examine a situation from more than one angle before settling on what it means. This practice, sometimes called perspective taking, is an intentional act of stepping outside your usual reactions and letting yourself see the bigger picture. By exploring different ways to view challenges, you train your mind to move beyond automatic judgments and knee-jerk emotions. This is not about ignoring facts or pretending trouble doesn't exist, but about expanding your mental and emotional space so that you're not boxed in by your first impression. Cognitive behavioral research confirms that people who routinely examine alternative perspectives bounce back more quickly from difficulties, exhibit greater creativity in problem solving, and experience richer, more positive relationships with others. One simple method for building this skill is to pause and literally ask yourself two basic questions when a difficulty arises. What else could this mean? And how might someone else see this? Even these small questions break patterns of rumination and broaden your awareness. When your mind is stuck on blaming or self-pity, a moment spent searching for even a single different interpretation interrupts the spiral. This imaginative step encourages more curiosity, understanding, and resilience. Perspective taking can even activate more empathy as you consider not just your own needs, but the experiences and motives of others. In close relationships, the act of imagining another's viewpoint can dissolve tension and open space for kindness and collaboration. Studies in positive psychology have shown that people who rotate their viewpoint in stressful or uncertain circumstances are less likely to feel stuck and more likely to find creative solutions. For example, Employees who practice looking at workplace conflict through various lenses report improved teamwork and satisfaction because they're less threatened by differences and more open to finding common ground. In everyday life, this practice translates to a new level of emotional agility. You're quicker to shift gears when obstacles arise, and more willing to see yourself not just as a passive recipient of difficulty, but as someone with the power to choose a different stance. The trick is repetition. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. This approach is powerful because it turns every challenge into an opportunity for growth. By expanding your field of view, you uncover hidden possibilities, generate new options, and reduce the feeling of being trapped or helpless. It also nurtures flexibility, which is essential in an ever-changing world. The gift of this practice is not only the relief from negative emotions, but also the ability to cultivate a mind that feels open, energized, and engaged, even when circumstances are complex or demanding. Greater perspective leads to better decisions, more harmonious relationships, and a deeper satisfaction with life. You begin to see that no event is entirely good or bad. Much depends on the lens you choose. With time, you build trust in your ability to move through difficult moments, confident that you can always look for light, wisdom, or a way forward where others might see only walls. This isn't about perfection, but about progress, challenging yourself again and again to stand in different places, welcoming the lessons and opportunities that each new angle offers. With repeated practice, choosing a broader and more flexible perspective leads to remarkable benefits. You will notice that once draining experiences no longer hold the same power over your emotions. Everyday mistakes become valuable lessons, temporary setbacks lose their sting, and even conflicts in relationships open up unexpected paths to deeper understanding. When you make a habit of expanding your viewpoint, anxiety gives way to curiosity, and hope becomes accessible, even in uncertainty. The urge to react defensively fades, replaced by a calm belief that there is always more than one story present in every moment. This new mental freedom empowers you to redirect your energy from dwelling on what went wrong to exploring what might be possible. Not only do you cultivate personal peace, but you also inspire those around you to see the world with fresh, kind eyes. Begin developing this habit by pausing whenever you notice frustration, disappointment, or confusion. In that moment, tell yourself there's another side to this. Next, deliberately challenge your first instinct or interpretation. Ask, if I looked at this as an outsider, what might I see? Or, would this situation look the same in a week or a year? Write down your answers or talk them through with a trusted friend, allowing yourself to voice multiple perspectives out loud. Make it a practice, maybe once a day, to reflect on a recent challenge and intentionally find at least one helpful or alternative meaning within it. Over time, these brief exercises teach your mind that it can move beyond the automatic response, creating space for optimism and creative solutions. Consider some real-life examples. When you receive negative feedback at work, your initial reaction might be disappointment or a sense of failure. Taking a new perspective could mean viewing the critique as a sign that someone cares about your growth, or even as an opportunity to develop a new skill set. In relationships, if a loved one is distant, instead of assuming rejection, you might pause and remember times when you yourself needed space and compassion. By exploring those other meanings, difficult conversations become pathways to meaningful understanding, rather than sources of resentment or self-doubt. For students struggling with a difficult course, shifting perspective from "I'm failing" to "this is an opportunity to build resilience and resourcefulness" changes challenge into motivation. Celebrate every small success in expanding your outlook. Each time you pause, reflect, and choose a different lens, you add to your emotional strength and flexibility. Some days you might falter or slip back into narrow thinking. That's entirely natural and simply an invitation to try again. Over time, you'll realize that doors seem to open where once there were only walls, and the entire world looks richer and more full of promise. Remember that big shifts always begin with small steps. Your willingness to try is the most powerful catalyst for change. As you keep developing your skill in harnessing the power of perspective, get ready for the next step. Mastering Your Emotional Energy. The upcoming chapter will explore how shifting your emotional energy can deepen your growth and make each day more vibrant. If this message inspires you, subscribe to the Awaken Vision channel, give this a like, and join the conversation in the comments. Your reflections and ideas light the way for others as well. Let's grow and thrive together. Chapter 5. Have you ever had a day when no matter how much you try, your mood seems out of your control? Maybe you wake up optimistic, but bad news in an email, a difficult conversation at work, or a minor failure leaves you drained. Over time, repeated setbacks or small frustrations snowball until your focus, creativity, and motivation slip away. Suddenly, even simple tasks feel exhausting. It may seem as though your emotional energy is being stolen bit by bit, leaving you too depleted to show up as your best self. This hidden battle with emotional energy is a common struggle, yet many do not realize how deeply it influences every choice, connection, and achievement. Without an understanding of emotional energy or how to direct it, it is easier to fall into patterns of burnout, irritability, and a sense of being overwhelmed. Understanding how emotional energy operates is essential because emotions are more than fleeting feelings. They are real signals that shape your perception, decision-making, and even your health. When you ignore emotions or push them aside, frustration builds below the surface, only to explode or drain you over time. Have you noticed, for example, how discouragement lingers after a tough day, making it hard to motivate yourself the next morning? Or how jealousy in a relationship, if unaddressed, gradually colors everything your partner says or does? This undercurrent of unmanaged emotional energy seeps into all parts of life, quietly affecting your performance and your well-being. Unchecked, it not only darkens your outlook, but can strain relationships, cause errors at work, or isolate you from opportunities for joy. Picture the story of a friend who lands a dream job. On the surface, all seems perfect, but inside, stress and self-doubt build up as deadlines approach. Each mistake, rather than being seen as a learning moment, chips away at confidence. Without skills to process and shift those emotions, the excitement that once lit up their day is soon replaced by dread or fatigue. Or think of a student who wants to impress their teachers and family. The constant worry about grades quietly turns into resentment, and soon energy that should fuel learning is wasted on anxiety or discouragement. These are not rare, dramatic events, but descriptions of challenges faced by millions every day. If you recognize your own experience in these examples, it is not a sign of weakness. It's simply a reflection of how challenging it can be to manage emotional energy without support or practical strategies. When you don't know how to reset your emotional state or redirect yourself through difficult moments, you end up caught in repeating cycles of stress and exhaustion. The good news is that with awareness and practice, anyone can learn to shift their emotional energy. You become capable of moving from weariness back to vitality, from discouragement to determination, and from tension into real inner calm. This chapter opens the door to those strategies, offering hope for anyone ready to take back control and fuel each day with renewed emotional strength and possibility. The solution to regaining control over your emotional energy lies in developing the ability to recognize, process, and consciously shift your emotions. This approach begins with increasing emotional awareness. Instead of ignoring or suppressing how you feel, the first step is to label your emotions with honesty and clarity. Psychological research shows that naming an emotion reduces its intensity by activating different regions of the brain, allowing you to respond instead of just reacting. When you can clearly identify that you are feeling anxious, frustrated, drained, or even joyful, you create space for choice, space where you can decide how to respond, rather than being swept along by the current of your mood. The next important step is giving yourself permission to feel emotions without immediately wanting to fix or eliminate them. This might sound counterintuitive, but all emotions, even uncomfortable ones, carry important information. Allowing yourself to experience these feelings fully lets them pass more quickly, rather than growing stronger or more disruptive beneath the surface. Mindfulness practices, such as taking a few deep breaths and tuning in to what is happening in your body, have been shown in multiple studies to reduce emotional volatility and improve overall resilience. For instance, spending just a few minutes each day noticing your breath or quietly acknowledging which emotions are present helps you stop fighting your inner state and start working with it. Once you acknowledge and accept your emotional state, you are empowered to shift it using intentional strategies. Simple rituals like listening to uplifting music, stepping outside for fresh air, or moving your body are proven ways to alter emotional energy. Activities that engage both mind and body, like walking, stretching, or talking with a supportive person, help move stagnant or negative emotions and refresh your outlook. These actions work because your mind and body are deeply connected, and even small changes in one area influence overall mood and vitality. Another effective tool is the practice of reframing, which you've already explored earlier in this book. When you look at challenges through a more hopeful or balanced lens, you naturally redirect your emotional responses in a healthier and more empowering way. This process is powerful because it places you in charge of your inner experience. Proactive emotional management builds confidence and steadiness, helping you stay flexible in the face of change and pressure. The ability to shift your state at will also means you are no longer defined by fleeting lows or setbacks. Instead, you gain momentum from swiftly returning to a place of strength, optimism, and inner calm. The benefits ripple outward. Your relationships improve as you bring greater understanding and warmth to those around you. Your capacity to focus and problem solve at work or school is enhanced, and your general outlook softens into one that welcomes growth and hope rather than resistance or frustration. By dedicating time and intent to learning and practicing emotional energy shifts, you give yourself a toolkit you can carry through any situation. This doesn't mean avoiding pain or challenges, but trusting that you will be able to respond mindfully, nurture yourself, and draw out the best from even the toughest moments. Over time, emotional agility becomes a natural part of your life, empowering you to choose your energy, renew your efforts, and sustain your light, no matter what the day brings. When you learn to recognize and shift your emotional energy, the transformation is both immediate and long-lasting. You will notice your mood no longer sways as easily from happiness to discouragement because you have strategies that allow you to step back, breathe, and consciously select your next response. The biggest benefit is regaining agency. You feel empowered in the face of pressure or conflict, knowing that your internal state does not have to match external events. This stability creates space for joy, creativity, and deeper connections, even during demanding or emotionally charged days. You strengthen your resilience, improve your productivity, and radiate more positivity in relationships, inspiring others by your example. With consistent practice, you'll become more in tune with both subtle and intense emotions, learning to use each feeling, whether excitement, anxiety, hope, or doubt, as valuable feedback rather than something to fear or escape. To start shifting your emotional energy, choose simple, repeatable actions. Each morning or evening, take a few quiet moments to honestly name one emotion you're feeling without judgment. If you experience tension during the day, pause and focus on your breathing for 1 minute, letting each inhale and exhale ground you in the present. When a strong emotion arises, give yourself permission to feel it and explore what it might be telling you. Then, intentionally choose a gentle way to move through or redirect that emotion. Play a song that energizes you, go for a brisk walk, or talk it out with someone who uplifts you. When negativity creeps in, write down a positive lesson you can take from the situation, or list what you're grateful for in that moment. By repeating these small shifts, you begin training your mind and body to rebound from stress and quickly refuel emotional reserves. Let's consider some day-to-day examples. Imagine arriving at work feeling anxious about an important project. Instead of trying to suppress your nerves, acknowledge your worry, take a slow breath, and remind yourself of a previous challenge you overcame. This not only grounds you, but also unlocks calm confidence needed to focus. During an argument in a relationship, instead of letting anger steer your words, notice the rise of frustration, pause, and choose to express what you feel honestly, but without blame. For students, when discouragement hits after a disappointing grade, allow the sadness and then gently shift the focus to identifying next steps and a small success from the past week. Over time, these habits reshape the way you handle both high and low energy moments, solidifying emotional flexibility that supports all-round growth and fulfillment. Keep your efforts light and compassionate. Slips back into old habits are part of any meaningful change. Celebrate your awareness each time you recognize an emotion or recover your balance, no matter how briefly. Treat every new day as a fresh opportunity to practice shaping your emotional state, building progress through dozens of tiny but powerful shifts. Remind yourself that just as you wouldn't expect physical strength to emerge overnight, emotional agility grows through steady, shared effort over weeks and months. As you discover the freedom and strength in mastering your emotional energy, you'll be well prepared for the next step on your journey. Learning how to sustain your inner light and commit to continual growth, no matter what life brings. If you're finding value in these insights, please subscribe to the Awaken Vision channel, like this content, and share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. Your participation helps create a community where real change flourishes and every voice matters. Chapter 6. You may have noticed how easily a fresh burst of motivation can fade just as quickly as it arrived. After learning a new skill, starting a positive habit, or making a commitment to change, the first few days or weeks might feel empowering and filled with possibility. But over time, excitement often falls away when life gets busy, pressures return, or challenges seem never-ending. What once felt so clear-driven can become clouded with doubt, frustration, or even boredom. This is a nearly universal experience, one that quietly stands between countless people and the long-term growth they truly desire. The real challenge isn't igniting that spark of light within you, it's sustaining it, especially when everyday demands try to snuff it out. The danger of losing the light is that it leads to inconsistency, slowly erodes progress, and can leave you feeling as if nothing ever truly changes for good. Understanding the struggle to sustain growth is crucial because it explains why new resolutions, self-improvement plans, or enthusiastic beginnings often stall. You might have promised yourself to meditate, write in a gratitude journal, adopt positive self-talk, or pursue a personal project, only to look back weeks later and see your commitment slip. This happens not due to lack of intention or effort, but because true growth is a marathon, not a sprint. Without systems to keep your energy fueled and your goals in your daily line of sight, even strong willpower can falter. Patterns of stop-start progress can then trigger self-doubt, making you question your abilities or the value of your goals. These moments can be deeply discouraging, feeding a sense of defeat that becomes a bigger obstacle than the original challenge itself. Think about the story of a friend who decided to get healthy by running every morning. The first week was a victory, filled with energy and satisfaction. By week 2, an early meeting or bad weather provided easy excuses to skip. Soon, old habits crept back in, and the dream of lasting fitness felt out of reach. Or maybe you made progress improving a relationship, being more patient and present for a while, only to slip back into old reactions when stress resurfaced. In every case, the initial momentum fades, not out of laziness or weakness, but because the systems needed for long-term change weren't in place. This is an experience at school, work, and in every area of life, because real transformation requires endurance, adjustment, and consistent connection to your purpose. Acknowledging this challenge is not a cause for discouragement, but rather the beginning of real, lasting growth. The obstacle of sustaining your light is a powerful teacher. It encourages you to look beyond bursts of excitement and find ways to anchor your motivation, even during slow, unremarkable days or when you stumble. With the right patterns and support, you can learn to keep progress alive, reignite your hope after setbacks, and turn consistency into a reliable strength. The path ahead is not about being endlessly inspired, but about learning how to nurture inspiration, protect your energy, and build resilience so that your growth becomes steady and self-sustaining, even in the toughest moments. The solution to sustaining your inner light for growth is twofold. Build small, repeatable routines that support your commitment. and create powerful reminders that reconnect you with your deepest motivations. At the core of this solution is understanding that discipline is more effective than fleeting bursts of inspiration when it comes to long-term change. Establishing routine is essential, not because it makes you rigid or takes away spontaneity, but because it acts as the sturdy foundation on which real transformation is built. Studies in behavioral psychology show that when you create predictable cues and embed your goals into your daily schedule, you are more likely to continue your progress even when distractions or stressors compete for your attention. Regular routines reduce decision fatigue, making the next positive step easier and more automatic, even when motivation temporarily wanes. The other critical element is regularly bringing your purpose, values, and vision for growth back into focus. Even when routines are solid, all of us experience days where doubt, setbacks, or monotony can make forward movement feel pointless. That's why building in rituals to reflect on your why and celebrate small successes is so transformative. Keeping a journal to note your progress, using meaningful quotes or affirmations where you see them, talking about your goals with a trusted friend, or setting a calendar reminder to pause and reconnect with your vision all keep your light bright when challenges appear. These habits invite you to reconnect with positive emotions and with the reasons you started in the first place. This sustainable approach works so well because it helps regulate the ups and downs of everyday life. Routine provides stability, so you don't have to negotiate your goals fresh each morning. Rituals of reflection make your journey satisfying, so you recognize and reinforce the progress you are making along the way. Together, these elements turn the pursuit of growth from an emotional roller coaster into a series of manageable, steady steps forward. Instead of swinging between extremes of enthusiasm and disappointment, you find your energy naturally replenishing itself, anchored by daily patterns and periodic emotional resets. There's also a social and environmental dimension that research supports. Growth is more sustainable when you involve others and structure your surroundings to favor your chosen direction. Simple steps like joining a group, pairing up with an accountability partner, or rearranging your home or workspace to remove reminders of old habits can reinforce your ability to stick with change. Each small adjustment to your routine and your environment further tips the scale in favor of the you want to become. After all, consistency is far easier when the path of least resistance leads toward your new habits, not away from them. Choosing this path of structured support does not mean you will always feel excited or positive. It means you have created a system that catches you during low motivation days, provides encouragement, and guides you back anytime you drift. Over weeks and months, these routines and reminders accumulate, making your progress steady and tangible. This is the profound benefit. The security of knowing that, regardless of setbacks or mood, your steady, routine-powered effort will always bring you another step closer to your best self, glowing brighter with each passing day. Adopting steady routines and reinforcing your purpose brings a powerful wave of benefits that touches every part of your life. When you know how to sustain your inner drive, you discover that setbacks no longer hold the power they once did. Days of low motivation become opportunities for gentle redirection rather than reasons to give up. Your growth, no longer defined by enthusiasm alone, turns steady and reliable, carrying you slowly but surely toward your goals. It becomes easier to celebrate your progress, however small, which naturally boosts your confidence and belief in lasting change. This consistency over time cultivates trust in yourself. No fleeting burst of energy can match the steady light that, with practice, begins to radiate from within. Relationships deepen as others sense and appreciate your reliability. In work, study, or personal projects, the rhythm of structured habits cushions you through pressure or busy stretches, letting creativity and perseverance flourish even on the toughest days. The best part is the sense of peace that grows as you recognize you are on the right path, capable of showing up fully and genuinely no matter what comes your way. To bring this solution to life, begin by choosing one or two key routines you want to maintain. Whether it's 5 minutes of quiet reflection every morning, a simple review of the day at night, or regular exercise. Set reminders for these routines so they become a natural part of your daily schedule. Each week, pause and write down a few sentences about why your growth matters and what progress you've made, however small. Place a note or meaningful quote somewhere you'll see it when your willpower weakens. Share your commitment or highlights with a trusted friend, asking for honest encouragement and support. These simple, regular actions act like stakes for a growing tree, steadying your purpose during strong winds. When a setback occurs, revisit what works, adjusting your plan instead of criticizing yourself. Each time you restart, no matter how many times it takes, you build resilience into your system. Practical examples are everywhere. If you're working to strengthen a relationship, create the habit of starting or ending each day expressing appreciation or sharing a supportive word with your partner. At work, dedicate 10 minutes at the start or end of the week to review wins and lessons, even tiny ones, keeping your sense of progress fresh. For a student eager to improve, reviewing notes for just 5 minutes every day builds a study habit that outlasts all-nighters and panic before exams. When motivation dips or life disrupts your flow, lower your expectations but stick with your action. One positive effort is always better than none. Remember, sustainable growth is built from hundreds of ordinary days and choices, not dramatic breakthroughs. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, to reflect, to move, to reach out, to pause and remember your why, you are building a foundation that keeps your light burning through all of life's seasons. Trust in the process. If today feels hard, remind yourself that a step forward doesn't need to be spectacular to count. Every seed you plant with consistency will root and blossom when you least expect it. As you conclude this chapter and reflect on what steady progress can create, take a moment to see how far you've come already and imagine what's still possible ahead. Let each challenge you face remind you it's a step on the path, not a wall in your way. Keep nourishing your routines, celebrating the journey, and welcoming progress in every small form it appears. Your dedication to growing steadily is lighting the future, a future filled with purpose, strength, and enduring optimism. As you reach the end of this journey, remember that the power to transform your life lies within your ability to think differently, act intentionally, and nurture your inner light. Throughout this book, you have learned practical ways to reframe your mindset, build resilience and gratitude, broaden your perspective, master emotional energy, and sustain your growth through mindful routines. Every chapter offers tools to help you rise above setbacks and choose optimism, no matter what challenges life brings. Thank you for investing your time and energy in your own development, and for joining this journey toward greater possibility and self-discovery. If these insights have inspired or supported you, please remember to like the video, share your reflections or questions in the comments, and subscribe to the Awaken Vision channel for ongoing encouragement and fresh inspiration. Your commitment to growth lights the way for others too.